Hello, Yakri here with another Warframe video, and this time we're going to do a little discussion of the Oberon rework. I'm going to try and keep it kind of brief. His rework was not as severe as those of some other Warframes, so there's not as much to talk about. Let me show you the build I'm using right now, really quickly. Phoenix Renewal you could swap out for one of his other augments. And this isn't really the final build, I haven't formed him yet, so I'd probably not have Steel Charge, and I'd have some sort of Exila-slot mod. But this is actually surprisingly close to what I might use with Oberon. You might want to have Stretch for more power range. Mostly that's going to benefit your ult, and it makes it really easy to lay down like a huge area of hollowed ground, which is nice. Certainly it's more energy efficient than having to apply it a bunch of times to cover a large area, so that's better. But mostly I'm showing you to give you an idea of what I'm showing as an example here. Actually, I should be able to bring up his unmodded and modded abilities. Okay, so Oberon had a few changes to his abilities, but the ones we really care about are the changes to Renewal, mostly, and a little bit to Hollowed Ground. And the interaction between Renewal and Hollowed Ground. So let's talk about Smite briefly. Smite, there's probably something wrong with it, honestly. I'm not sure how they fucked it up, but it's supposed to have scaling with enemy level. Effectively, it may or may not scale, but it's hard to tell. Effectively, the higher level enemies get, the less damage it does, which you'd kind of expect from armor, but reducing the damage. But many other Warframes that do actually have abilities that scale with level will still be more damage after armor reduction against high level enemies. And in fact, its initial damage is just kind of not super great to begin with. So possibly, I think it's at least plausible that the scaling doesn't even work for this ability, and we'll see if they make it better. I won't be too cut up about it if they don't. A lot of one abilities on Warframes are useless trash. I don't think that's the way it should be, but that's how it is for most frames. So at least compared to the rest of the frames in the game, other than a few exceptions, he's pretty similar. So Hollowed Ground is very similar to the way it was before, with one exception, which is that it's now an arc. So the ability radius is okay for a 2 ability, but the fact that it's an arc makes it, in reality, here, let me take off the mods. So in reality, the effect is much larger than you'd think. Wow, the 180 degree angle arc. It goes up with power range and 15 range, and then when you increase the power range, it gets much bigger very easily. So compared to how it worked before, you can cover a lot more ground with Hollowed Ground, which is nice. You know, it's a good usability change, and that's great because you're actually going to care a little bit more about allies standing in it with Renewal. So when you activate Renewal, it is a toggled ability that costs energy per second. And it adds bonus armor to your allies, right? If they're standing in hollowed ground when you activate it, right? So when you activate it, if they're standing in hollowed ground, they get the armor buff, and then that lasts until you toggle it off, and the range is still infinite like it was before. And then once you toggle it off, the armor buff persists, right, for a certain duration, which can be pretty long potentially if you have some power duration. The energy per second drain is pretty harsh, but I've been able to keep it up in actual missions without too much trouble. You could probably sacrifice a little power strength or do a slightly different build than I do and have an easier time with it, especially if you have more power duration. And let's see. That pretty much covers Renewal. The important thing to note is that the heal over time gets to be quite high. That's essentially regen per second, and the armor bonus is also quite good. I've seen a lot of people knocking the armor bonus, like, oh well, you know, compared to Warframes like. Why am I mind blanking on it? Compared to Valkyr, this is terrible. Well, yeah, compared to Valkyr, it's terrible. The thing is that you can give Warframes who currently have like 15 armor, you can give them 400 armor. That's a huge amount more damage reduction than they have, especially since armor is worth more per point when you have less of it. And then when you combine that with 90 health regen per second, you effectively make even very non-tanky frames much more durable It's one of the better damage reduction abilities in the game, in my opinion, particularly because it lasts so long and it has such a long range. You can keep it up for so long, which just makes it quite convenient. The ultimate is a little bit different. It does more damage. I can't remember how much exactly it did before, so I have a hard time saying exactly how much better this used to be. I didn't care about Oberon at all before they reworked him. I was kind of waiting for this, so that's my bad. But it does bonus damage now if an enemy has been rad procced, I believe, and if they are in your hollowed ground, they get armor reduced, right? Which is I've got up at 68%. I'm not sure how high you can get that. So not to 100%, I don't think. No, not to 100%, but you can get it very high. And 68% is, this is like a mid-range build where I didn't really go all out for power strength, just high power strength. So you can get it a little bit higher than this. I'm not sure if this is really going to be relevant a lot of the time, because corrosive projection is overpowered. And, well, not really overpowered, it's just broken. But anyway, it's nice that they added something that maybe will someday be useful? Question mark. What I really care about is renewal. So let's show this in effect, right? Let's get, we're gonna simulate bombard. Nice. We're gonna just put down hollowed ground, cast renewal on myself. 450 bonus armor. Oberon has 150 base armor, if you don't recall. So this does hurt, obviously. I'm eventually gonna get killed by this, but this is a level 115 bombard for reference. If I recall correctly, I'm pretty sure the regeneration works on pets. It works on Necros's little clones. It works on everything, really, so it's pretty great. And eventually, he's going to take me out. Maybe? Someday. Come on, you can do it, buddy. Oh, look, I'm invulnerable. Ha! Ha ha! Ha ha! Yeah, Phoenix Renewal. It's fairly nice. So that's kind of like my comment on Oberon right now. Oh, for fuck's sake. This is actually really... Yeah, so that's my comment on Oberon right now. He's not suddenly top tier, but he's much better than he was before. To give you some perspective here, because I know a lot of people are really hating the rework for some reason, and I actually much prefer this rework to the one they did with Saren. So let's talk about like what I like in a rework, I guess. And you don't necessarily have to agree with me, but I think there's good reasons why you should. So Saren rework, right? Why did I not like it? Because she's certainly powerful, useful Warframe now. I didn't like it because Saren was a one-button frame. You just smash your ult, and that's it. And DU's like, well, we don't want you to just be smashing one button because she was powerful before. We want the frame to have more nuance than that. So they reworked her, and the end result is that you now smash her one ability, and that's really what you design the whole Warframe around. That's what's important. So you... They didn't change anything. My point is they didn't actually change anything. Strong ability. And I don't really like that. I'm not a big fan of that. And I don't think it kind of improved her playstyle, but it's not what a rework should be. I think it should do something to, like, bring the frame together, make more of their stuff useful. Oberon, in this way, they did a much better job, I think, because before he didn't really have any kind of use or role, and he has one now, and it involves using more than one of his abilities. I should actually show another example for it in a second before I end the video, but what they've done with him is they've made him a very tanky semi-support frame, right? He has this huge aura, can cover your renewal, your heal, has no range limit, so you can cover the whole map, and you can buff all of your allies and give them this huge HP regeneration bonus, and you can give them this large flat armor bonus, which can make frames that have like 15 base armor quite tanky, and it gives you just a lot of general nice utility that's nice to have in a mission, and you can potentially protect people from dying with Phoenix Renewal, or you could be running I forget what it's called, but it's the one where you can give people plus 100% baseline rad damage on their attacks with your one, which is very powerful. There's a few if you don't know, a few different Warframes have them, like Oberon, Volt, Ember, and who am I forgetting? Frost. That might be everyone. I could be forgetting somebody. I don't think so, though. Oh, no, I am. Saren also has... He has the best one because his is radiation damage, which is really nice. So anyway, he has that whole tanky healing bonus that he gives to his allies. But more than that, his Sacred or Hallowed Ground also makes allies immune to status effects, which is a really unique and interesting buff that's very supporty, and it rad procs enemies. Actually, like most of his shit rad procs enemies, but that's probably the most useful one for rad procking enemies, which gives him a certain level of crowd control. Not a great level, but it exists, and it becomes, with the new update, it's very good if you actually do build him for power range, and potentially gives him more than one way he can be built. So he can be built more than one way, and he's good for a kind of a smorgasbord of things, which he didn't have before. And just be specific, he didn't have it before because his previous heal was essentially useless, right? It didn't do anything. It ran out when you hit full, someone being healed hit full health. It would heal them with full health almost instantly, and Trinity could do that to your entire party at uber range, right? And she still can effectively, although it's a little bit nerfed now. And she also gave them a damage reduction buff. So he has something actually relevant compared to Trinity now, because it's infinite range, it's on all the time. Well, not really all the time, but you can keep it up effectively all the time, and it gives you more EHP, right? And you can kind of fairly easily combine that with his other builds that has more EHP. And the fact that it's just kind of passive regen, you don't have to mash buttons for it, you don't have to do it at the right time, it's just always there helping you. So that's very nice. And it gives him a little bit of a utility. He makes his 3 actually useful. Like, it just didn't do anything before, now it does something. Hallowed Ground was always useful, but they've made it easier to use. They made it cover a better area, and they gave it a little bit more purpose with the armor buff. And mostly I feel that the fact that Renewal is actually useful, actually does anything, just kind of allows the fact that Hallowed Ground was already good to be relevant. It was really the major change he needed. His ultimate is still bad, but it has a little bit more scaling and relevancy into the late game than it had before, especially if you're playing alone or something because of the armor stripping. And the real big letdown is his 1, because it's effectively, like, I don't think it's really, they've made 2 sets of changes to it that haven't actually changed it in any way. Yeah, I'm not really sure about that. So let's just show this off, and this is, I guess, something that was certainly true of base Oberon as well. But wrong thing. So this is what I was talking about with saying, like, he has like a little bit of a mixed support. Oh fuck! Why is there? Did I misclick? Why is there still just a bombard there? God dang it! Yeah, I fucked up. So yeah, so he has a little bit of crowd control utility. And I think it goes well. Mostly his 2 and his 3 go well together, because he's now a much more tanky Warframe than he was before. Alright, whoops. Whoop. And you can rad proc a large number of enemies while making yourself immune to crowd control effects, and you can survive stuff that probably would have killed you before. And with adding Phoenix Renewal, if you want to use that, you can certainly survive things that you couldn't before. And you can put down quite an area of coverage, and this is just with the base range. I don't have any extra range mods on this. With range mod, it extends very well, because the range mods, I think I mentioned this already, but the range mods extend the radius, the degree of the excuse me, they increase the angle of the arc, right? Because it's a little arc. The ability is an arc, and they also increase its length, right? So you can cover a really huge area really easily if you actually put range mods on it. And I think the duration, like, I've just let my energy run out, and you can see I get a pretty decent duration on this armor buff. So it gives you, even though you can't regen energy except by picking up energy globes while you have it, it gives you like a nice, this is actually really nice, because a lot of other Warframes have tank abilities that just run out and then you're weak for a little while. But it gives you this nice buffer window where you can try and, restore your energy with Trinity or with pizzas, or just by killing enemies, and reactivate the ability before anyone gets one-shot by something. So, what's my conclusion? I like the changes to Oberon because they kind of did what they needed to do. I would like to see a little bit better numbers on some of the changes to him, maybe, but he went from being dumpster tier to being a mid-range frame, solid, like, top like 50% of frames in the game, I would say, because now his healing ability actually provides a valuable utility to your team, one that you don't get in the same way elsewhere. His hollowed ground is still good for protecting you from status effects. It's still good for crowd controlling enemies, and his ultimate does okay damage. It's not great. It's not gonna stay powerful into the end game. Let's see how it does against these Ard Butchers again. It's not going to stay relevant into the end game, but it's more than it was before, and it's enough more that combined with the other changes, it feels okay. And there's the fact that it allows you to provide health orbs. That's not a super useful utility to provide, right? But it can be useful. It allows you to do stuff like run. I guess maybe I wouldn't do it because into the very late game you wouldn't be able to kill people with it. Maybe I take that back. I was going to say you can run that one mod where you get armor on gaining health orbs, but I'm not sure I would actually do that because you only really care about that in the late game, and in the late game you'll have a hard time killing people. So maybe if his ult actually had scaling, less so than his one, which they I guess tried and failed somehow to give scaling. Yeah. So that's my conclusion. He didn't shoot to the top of my Warframe tier list, which is I kind of feel like people are too harshly judging the changes because they made Oberon actually useful to play. Like he has a thing, or like a little thing mixture that other Warframes don't quite capture. Right, immunity to status effects makes your team become more tanky baseline while providing sustain. That's pretty much what his thing is now. And before he didn't do that at all because he technically had something vaguely similar to that, but without the base tankiness increase and to a degree that wasn't useful at all, right? And now he is useful. Now he can actually provide that. And yeah, like I said, top 50% of frames. You know, the bottom of the top 50% maybe, but that's pretty okay with me actually. I think, from an ideals perspective, I would like to see his 1 and his 4 get touched up slightly, maybe given some actual scaling. You know, maybe if they're not going to remove corrosive projection from the game, they could let his 1 strip 100% of enemy armor. I think that would be completely balanced. I think they could give that to multiple Warframes and have it be completely balanced. That would be pretty cool. If the base scaling was 50%, so at 200% power strength, you strip 100% of enemy armor. That'd be great. That'd be great to see on his ultimate. And then actually make his 1 scale with enemy level. That would be basically perfect. But I don't think it really needs to happen. I think a lot of people are upset that he's not top 5 now after a rework. I don't think the reworks actually need to make the Warframes top tier. And this didn't do what typically makes me upset, which is makes the frame really one dimensional or totally changes what their niche was. Because often, they have a niche that's interesting and I like, and they fix the frame by removing the niche entirely instead of making them capable of doing it to a degree of effectiveness that makes people actually play the Warframe. Okay, I think that's all. That video actually went on way longer than it needed to. But, I'm kind of excited because I actually junked Oberon back when I started playing the game. And I'm pretty excited to actually have a reason to build him again because I've been, since then started collecting every item in the game, and it felt wrong not having Oberon the easiest frame to get in the entire game. Alright, thank you all for watching. Goodbye.